Good morning, everyone. This is Shankar and Andrea
Good
live
morning.
from San Antonio with the Shanks Show. And we have to kind of let you know a little bit about what we have in mind with our lives because I think there is an idea in the morning about having a conversational show, right, Andrea? Where
Okay.
Andrea and I bounce off ideas between each other, and we try to really make it educational for you as well. So this is the Shanks show, and we're trying to get it started at 7:30, so that every day 7:30 a.m. Central Time. That's where you can find us. Andrea, today we're talking about personal branding for doctors, and we had a training yesterday with a person, Shanae Moray, who is really influential in LinkedIn marketing and influencing. And she told us something that was a really great reminder, which is, when you talk online, you got to talk about what your future clients truly care about in that moment, right? So, in your opinion, Andrea, a future client of a doctor, which is a patient, based on all our knowledge and research, what are they interested in the moment when they are healthy? Because that is when you really build up a brand and a following.
You see, I was prepared to talk about what they're not interested in.
That is good. Tell us what they're not interested in, because then we know what they are.
Yeah, so patients in general don't give a hoot about their health,
Hmm.
which I find to be incredibly ironic, but true on
Yeah.
the whole. Now, of course, patients aren't a monolith and it's not a one size fits all conversation. So we know that there are people like us, for example, who care a little bit more about our health because we happen to be vegans. So we're constantly interested in our nutrition, how, like what our sleep, our diet, our nutrition, our activities for working out, and all of these things, how they make us feel. But for the general public, I don't know anyone who's like Netflix or diving into a talk about my health. Let me choose that. Let
Andrea,
me
you make it sound like every non-vegan is not interested in health.
I mean, I have my
No,
biases,
no,
but
no.
think about it. Think about it. How many documentaries are out there, particularly on what the health, or what's the other one that's like all the vegan bodybuilders, including Arnold Schwarzenegger and people of that nature, Patrick Bowman. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that we just kind of naturally gravitate towards. And I don't restrict it to vegans. I think anybody who has like maybe a background in fitness and sports, or they're just like really interested in that, they gravitate towards that. They're going to tune into those channels. But unfortunately, especially if you're a primary care physician, it is the least cared about topic. People don't even know what chronic diseases they have until they get into the room, until they're in the clinic chair and they're talking with the doctor. And that's when they discover, oh my gosh, I'm pre diabetic. Oh my goodness, like I have this other health condition, or
Yeah.
I have cardiovascular, like, oh, and then they start thinking about the changes that they need to make.
Hmm.
But if you're going to woo an audience that isn't the ones that are going to naturally find you, I think your best asset is talking about yourself, because people are interested in like, oh wow, that doctor is cool. Like he flies. He's, like always in the air, like a certain doctor we know.
Yeah, and whenever we tell him you should talk more about your flying, he's like, I don't know about that. I tell you, okay, whoever wants to get to know the flying doctor, type flying doctor in the comments right now. Flying doctor. I would really be interested in that. And I do think, yeah, listen, Andrea is absolutely right. People, unfortunately, while they are healthy, they don't want to hear and see anything about the idea of not being healthy. There is going to be a small subset of people that very often intersect with vegans, but are not exclusive to vegans, that are so-called health nuts, right? And yes, that is a great audience to have. However, most everyone else, your standard American, your standard European, your standard Australian, your standard Brit, they,
Mexican, because
yeah,
even Mexico has a
oh,
high rate of
oh yeah, absolutely.
conditions.
Really truly don't care. What they will do is when things are really bad and there's kind of an urgency that drives them to find a physician or healthcare provider, they will go online and search stuff like healthcare, physician near me, or um, you know, health holistic provider, whatever they are interested in near me. And at that point, yes, it's interesting. It's important actually for you to have your website, to have your Google My Business, to have maybe a social media channel that gives you the visibility on search and then lets people reach out. But until it gets to that point, you gotta somehow bring them into your community in a different way.
So, do we have any examples of doctors that are crushing it out there who are always providing valuable content and that are interesting?
Yes, there are a few. I mean, there's quite a good number, and
And what do they talk about? Because we don't have to list them off by name, because I know a lot in my head, but they're actually all
right.
Spanish.
Okay. Well, some of them use humor. Actually, if you go and look um, at TikTok and Instagram, some of them use humor to really get people to be interested in kind of what they do to address the potential problems they could have, right? So, for example, if there is an ophthalmologist, he or she could do a clip about, not seeing very well and running into things. And I mean, you got to be very creative with these things. Um, Others, they talk a lot about their philosophies. Like one thing that one of our clients does very, very well is talking about how healthcare can kind of be revolutionized. So they stand for an idea that is different from just come in and have me take your blood pressure or have me help you with your diabetes. No, there's like this underlying theme of making healthcare more affordable and more accessible. Um, do other examples come to mind, Andrea?
Yes, I mean, I actually think of when you talk about philosophy, think about the spine and chiropractic and
Mhm.
how important it is to like really hold to that philosophy, explaining what it is, giving detailed examples, holding up the spine itself so that you can see everything that they're speaking of. And those kinds of things I think are very interesting, even if you don't know anything about the body,
Mhm.
you get an opportunity to learn.
Mhm.
And I think that's what it comes down to, is like people want to learn, they want value added by the
Yeah.
individual.
Something else that is truly important is to always understand that you gotta evoke emotions and then tie people to yourself as as a follower by making them appreciate the emotion you offer, and that can be happiness by sharing stories about how, positive stories about how your work has impacted others. I mean, we know these posts that go viral where, um, someone has gone through a long journey of fighting an illness and then they finally overcame it, and then you now see them in, doing a profession or enjoying life, and that is something when you show that works very well. So you have emotion, happiness, sadness, humor, um, just excitement also. If you can generate excitement with what you create online, then that is very powerful. Now the problem is for most healthcare professionals is that they're not involved in what they put out there online. They're absolutely not involved. They rely on a marketing team, either internally or externally, that will just create what we call white noise, and that is the topics you kind of find everywhere, like, stay active, eat your apple, drink your water, all these good tips that are true, but that at the end of the day, nobody cares about. People want to be able to fall in love with a persona that they know they will trust when it comes to needing them. And that is why we here at Shanks have developed a masterclass where you get to learn the principles and the patterns of what you can say in collaboration with your marketing team or in collaboration with us, and how you can do that in a very time efficient manner, what you can say online, so that you avoid these boring topics and you actually start building up a following. And it's really an art that is new to this contemporary way of building up influence. And it requires, in my humble opinion, and I think Andrea, you're on the same page, because you see whenever we do that with our other clients, we include them in what we do. As soon as we do that, we include their persona, then all of a sudden the reactions to what we put out for them online really improve. So can you think of, like, maybe Andrea, you want to talk briefly about a speech therapist who for the longest time has kind of done the status
Oh my
quo,
goodness.
and then
Yes. So, I mean, I would preface this by saying that there are a lot of, it may feel like there are a lot of time commitments that are involved in producing content. And I would say that it can be as small or as large as you make it, but doing something and doing that something consistently is what matters. So if that's 1 or 2 times a week that you have, that's 1 or 2 times a week that you have. So what she's done is started recording herself, and we've seen an increase in engagement, in click through, in likes, comments, reactions, shares, all because people are actually interested in what she has to say. She's the expert in her field. And not only that, she has her client experience to talk about how her theories become action and why that does work. She speaks to different audiences. So it could be parents, or it could be administrators, or it could be other employers even. And I think that it's a very effective thing to do, because there are people that are in her circle that are quite interested in her. That's why they've connected to her. And there is a distinction between a personal page and a company page. People want to hear about you when they're on your personal page. So it's just a smart strategy. And we've been helping with that. We've made it very easy. You give us the goods, we'll give you back your deliverable. Everybody's happy, and it works. It works really well.
Yeah. So we have a masterclass. The next one is actually on Tuesday, and you can go to shanks.healthcare and sign up for that. And you'll spend about 1 hour and a half with me in that instance, where we go over the principles, the tools, the mindset you need to have in order to deliver that. And I can guarantee you, if you find that time, you carve out that time to attend that masterclass, it will change the way you think about what your personal brand is as a healthcare provider, and also how you can do that on your own. And then we'll tell you how you could do it with help if you want that. But everything there will be outlined for you. Go to shanks.healthcare and check it out. Let's talk briefly about tonight's meeting.
Yes, so the day is finally here. I can't believe it. We're already in June. We are on Thursday, June 2nd, and tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, everyone who is interested in legislation, in Texas legislation specifically, in direct care and the free market, how that all works together, the do's, the don'ts, the changes, the updates, should definitely be present at our online meeting for the San Antonio Free Market Medical Association. You can go to sanantoniofmma.org, where you can reserve your ticket to hear from Phil Eskew, who's a DO, JD, MBA, probably so much more, but you can stick on more titles to that. It's already enough to write. And you can hear from him, talk with him before the meeting, network with like-minded individuals. We've got politicians in the room, we've got surgeons, doctors, a lot of people that are interested in just figuring out where we are in the state of medicine and the legal update for Texas. So highly recommend coming out, highly encourage getting to know different people. And I honestly don't even think you'll regret it, because it's always jam-packed full of information. Half of it flies over my head, but then you can watch the replay and it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a virtual meeting, and starts at 7 p.m. Central Time, right?
That is correct.
Go to sanantoniofmma.org and see actually an example of that. Is, by the way, the physician whom we told you about, who talks a lot about philosophy and improving healthcare. So I mean, he could go and talk about, oh, this is how I help you manage whatever diabetes. But he knows that that's not what his target audience right now is truly interested in. His target audience is interested in knowing, in this particular case, for small employers and mid-sized employers, knowing how they can reduce costs to help their workforce, right? And that is something he talks about all the time, and we're leading that together. So go to sanantoniofmma.org and check it out. There's going to be virtual networking and great live presentation. And that's it for today. I will say, please post in the comments topics you want us to cover in the future, because we need to really talk about what is relevant to you.
Drop a comment of what you're interested in.
All right. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again tomorrow, 7:30, for the Shanks Show. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.